This right here represents hundreds of pints worth of salsa experience in my kitchen. And this year, for the first time, every single one of the main ingredients in this salsa, the tomatoes, the peppers, the onions, and the garlic, were all homegrown right in our backyard garden. Today, I am going to walk you through exactly how we made it. Welcome back to the Provident Gardener, the place where we believe anyone can grow their own food, preserve it, and enjoy it. I'm Amanda, and today we are going to talk about one of my favorite things we do with what we harvest from our garden every year, and that is making and canning our own homemade salsa. I'm going to walk you through every step and show you how we made this and talk about why this is one of the most meaningful things we do with our garden every year. Every year we make salsa with what we grow in our garden, but this year is different because for the first time we grew all of the main ingredients in this salsa in our own garden. In years past, we've always had to buy a few things, whether it be onions because they didn't grow well, or garlic because I forgot to plant it, or peppers because we just didn't have enough to balance out the ratios with all the tomatoes we grew. But this year we did it all, at least in this batch. We'll have more batches coming, but for this batch, we had enough peppers, onions, and garlic to match the amount of tomatoes we had ready in our garden. And now it's all in these jars, ready to feed my family all year long. This is what the Provident Gardener is all about. This is the recipe that we use for our salsa. It was handed down to us and we absolutely love it. But I do want to be really transparent about something important. I am not here today to teach you about the science or safety of canning. That's not something I am qualified to do. There are lots of people out there who that is their expertise, and they will do a much better job at teaching you that than I ever could. So I will tell you, you can't just take any salsa recipe and can it. It has to be a recipe that was designed for canning. You don't want to make something that's going to make your family sick. Please make sure whatever recipe you are using is a verified safe canning recipe. There are a lot of good resources out there, especially, I would probably start with Ball Canning. They know their stuff and they know what they are talking about. We want you to be safe as you grow and preserve food for your family. So we started by pouring all of our tomatoes into the sink, getting them clean, and then running them through a food mill. This is the food mill we use, and it has made canning and making our salsa so much easier. When we first started making and canning our own salsa, we would boil the tomatoes till the skin split and then take them all out, let them cool down so that we can handle them, and then peel off all the skins by hand, and then we're mashing them, and oh my goodness, it took forever. We had one night of canning. Now granted, we didn't start till after we had put the kids to bed around 8 or 9. We stayed up all night canning. It was ridiculous. So this has saved us time and made the process a whole lot easier. The good stuff, the tomato juice that you want to use to make your salsa, comes out one side, and everything you don't, like the skins especially, comes out the other side. Ours is manual, it has a hand crank, but they make electric ones too. I think maybe I should put that on my Christmas list this year, because an electric one takes it even a step further and makes it that much easier. Another thing that we do, you get all that good stuff, all the juice and stuff for your salsa coming out the front of the mill into a bowl, and then the guts coming out the side. We actually take all those guts, once we're done putting all the tomatoes through, we take all those guts and put them back in the hopper at the top and run them through again, because you'll get even more of that good tomato sauce out of there. And you want as much as you can get out of your tomatoes to make your salsa or your spaghetti sauce or whatever it is that you're making. So once all the tomatoes have gone through the food mill, we transfer everything to a pot on the stove and start cooking it down. As you're cooking these down, make sure you're stirring often, because the bottom sometimes will stick and burn. Now, the longer you cook it down, the thicker your salsa is gonna be. We've done as little as about an hour to up to like 4 to 6 hours. It just depends on kind of the water content of your tomatoes to begin with, and how thick you want it to be. And sometimes the amount of time you have on your hands. Now, while the tomatoes are cooking down on the stove, that's when we get everything else ready. When we first started making this salsa, we chopped everything by hand. We're talking about like all the way from the spicy peppers down to mincing your garlic. And of course the onions that want to make you cry. And yeah, it took forever. Like we're talking, I spent hours chopping up these little jalapenos into little tiny pieces. I did not love the process back then. But we have since found some tools that make it so much easier. We use a food processor to quickly chop up our onions and our peppers. And then when it comes to the garlic, we use this hand chopper, and it does the job really fast. No more taking hours doing all this little chopping. If you make salsa regularly, or any recipes or preserving or canning that involves a lot of chopping, these are some tools that are definitely worth it. My favorite thing about the peppers is using as many varieties as we can. I grow a lot of varieties of peppers, and I feel like the more varieties you use, the better the flavor of the salsa, because you just have all these flavors coming together to create one really good flavor in the salsa. Okay, so once everything is chopped and we have the tomatoes cooked down as much as we want, we add everything into that tomato sauce along with the salt and the pepper and the vinegar. Now this is when you cook it some more, because you want to bring all of that mixed together back up to a rolling boil and let it cook for 5 minutes. This is when I have run into a lot of trouble before. You have to consistently check on it and consistently stir it, and have a good, something good to stir it with that's gonna get to the bottom of your pot to make sure nothing is sticking. I made a batch once. I was distracted trying to clean up here, do things here. I had kids around. I had to go pick them up from school, and the next thing I know, my salsa's like this crazy boiling up. Some of it's coming out of the pot, and it had burned. I had worked hours on this salsa, and now the whole bottom was burned. There were little black bits all throughout. It was really, really frustrating. So pay attention to that pot so that you don't make the same mistake I did. So while it's getting back up to a boil and cooking for that 5 minutes, we get our jars ready. We want to make sure they're clean. We want new lids, because typically you don't reuse a canning lid, because you run the risk of one, it not sealing, or it not holding its seal well because it's already been used. Another thing we do with our lids is we boil them a little bit to soften up that gasket to help create a better seal. And when we boil them, we'll pour a little bit of vinegar into that boiling water as well. And that just helps the lids to not get kind of a cloudy film on them from the process of boiling in water. Okay, so once that salsa is done and our jars are ready, it's time to fill. Now we use just your regular canning funnel that fits right in the jar, and we fill up all the jars. Now you want to be careful because the salsa is boiling hot. So once you put it in here, you don't want to touch these jars because you'll burn yourself. Now you want to make sure you leave about a ½ inch of headspace in the jars. We usually just fill right to the bottom where the threads start, and that's about a ½ inch. We've never had a problem with that. After filling the jars, you wipe the rims with like a damp paper towel, because salsa will get on there while you're filling them sometimes. And when anything gets between the top of the jar and the gasket on the lid, it can prevent it from sealing properly. And we worked hard on this. We want them all to seal. So wipe them down, then we're gonna put the lids on, and we're gonna do the rings finger tight. You don't wanna put them on as tight as you can, just finger tight, and that will be all you need. So for water bath canning, we put a large trivet in the bottom of our very large pot that we have, which is amazing, and we start filling it with hot water. And here we also add a little bit of vinegar into that water, because it will again prevent these jars from getting like kind of a cloudy film on them while boiling in the water bath. And then we're gonna put the jars into our pot, make sure they're completely covered with water. And an important thing to note is you never wanna put your jars into boiling water. We've never had a problem with hot tap water. You just never wanna put them into boiling water because your jars can break. I have seen it happen. So put your jars into the water, then you're gonna bring it up to a boil. Once it starts boiling is when you set your timer for water bath canning. Now, the amount of time you need to water bath depends on the elevation you live at, and it depends on what you're water bath canning. But for us with the salsa and pints, where we live at our elevation, was 25 minutes. Once that 25-minute timer was done, they were boiling water bath canning in there for 25 minutes. We turned the heat off, took a jar lifter and lifted them all out. We usually put a towel down on our counter to protect our counter, and they will start sealing pretty much right away. Sometimes a couple of them might take a few minutes, but hearing that little pop with each of them as they seal is one of the most satisfying sounds when it comes to canning, because you know you've done it. Occasionally you will have jars that don't seal. We actually haven't had that many in our experience with canning salsa. We did have one on this batch. And when that happens, it doesn't mean the food is bad. You just processed it. It's still fine. But you have to put that in the fridge or use it right away. So with that one jar, we were able to give it to a family member, and he threw it into a pot of beans and said it was absolutely delicious. So with this batch of salsa, it gave us 14 pints, plus a large container that we put in the fridge and have been snacking on. We store our jars of salsa in our basement storage room where it stays dark and pretty cool year round. We also rotate through it very regularly. We will use sometimes several pints a week, from snacking on it with chips and salsa to when my husband makes pinto beans in the Instant Pot. When those are done, he'll just, to flavor them, take a jar of salsa and pour it right in. It makes them so good. We also use it for nachos, 7-layer dip. I'll cook chicken in the crock pot and just throw some salsa in with it and shred it. Salsa has so many uses, and using our homemade salsa for feeding our family just feels so rewarding. We have bought almost no salsa from the store for years now. Now I want to say something about why we do this, because it's not about saving money. If you really think about it, and I didn't even bother to calculate the cost difference from making versus buying, because I put a lot of time into this. From starting my own seeds indoors, to caring for them, then planting them out in the garden, caring for them more, to harvesting, actually making it, the cost of the jars, everything that goes into this, it's probably not time or cost effective versus going to the store and buying a jar of salsa. Now, I think it tastes so much better. And maybe part of the reason why it tastes so much better is because I know what went into this, the time and the effort to get this right here. But the biggest reason why I do this, for me, it's about the knowledge and the skills, knowing how to start my own seeds indoors, knowing how to grow and produce food to feed my family, knowing how to harvest that food that I grew and then preserve it in a way that we can eat it all year, even when the garden isn't growing anything. This is why I garden and why I preserve the food that I grow, so that all the work I do from late winter, spring, summer, and into fall feeds my family for the entire next year until I can do it again. If you have ever wanted to make your own salsa, I hope this video has given you that little push you need to finally try it. I won't lie, it is a little scary. The very first time I canned my own salsa, I think I called Kylene probably 10 times, asking different questions, making sure I wasn't gonna mess anything up and make my family really sick. And I haven't made anyone sick with anything that I have canned. So we're doing good. If you make your own salsa, I would love to hear about it. And check out a link to our website below where I have some fun labels for these for yourself, or if you want to gift them to others. But I want to know from you, what is your favorite thing to can and preserve from your garden? I always love to try new things, and maybe you have the next thing I need to try. And as always, don't be afraid to get a little dirt under your fingernails so you can turn that dirt into dinner or this delicious homemade canned salsa.